Hi everybody, today I'm doing a full microneedling demo of my entire face. If you missed yesterday's live show, that was on tricks and tips to control your blood sugar level. So you can always, on any post, or go back to that live I did yesterday, you can comment the word no spike and you'll get that. But today I'm doing a full demo, microneedling demo on my face. It's been about 6 weeks. At the end of this show, I'm going to post this to my main feed. And when I do that, you can comment the word microneedling and you'll get a free microneedling guidebook in your DMs. This will show you all of the different needle links. It'll show you the device I'm using today. There's clickable links in here to get to the microneedling pen and all of the other stuff that I'm going to show you today. It also gives you all the various needle links, how to choose your needle length, and which needle length to start with on various parts of your face. So because our skin is not the same depth, you wouldn't use the same needle length on your forehead that you would on your cheeks because you've got more anatomy under here. So I'm going to go over all of that. But when I finish this live show and post this to my feed, which I'm going to do, you just simply comment the word microneedling and check your DM. You'll get the whole guidebook for free. And right now, the Dr. Pen M8, the device I'm going to be using today, is on sale for $100 off. This is normally a device that's $299. It's under $200 now with code LIVEYOUNG. You'll also get that link to the device that's on sale with the comment of microneedling once I finish this whole show. And you can put that comment in the comment section. Not here, but you can put the comment in the comment section once I post this to my main feed, and you'll get all of that information in your DMs. Okay, I did wash my face. I've got no face makeup on. I just have a little bit of mascara and a little bit of lipstick. So I'm going to take I have an alcohol wipe here. It's not fun to do, but it is the safest way. So I'm just going to wipe my skin down. It might get a little pink, just reacting from the alcohol. But this is the way to keep all of that bacteria at bay. When I do this when I talk to you guys about this microneedling protocol, just know that it always starts with safety, because when you're doing things at home, like having needles go to your face, safety is super important. And I've seen infections before. I've seen them in office and I've also seen them at home. So you want to make sure that you're really taking those precautions very, very seriously. Okay, so I'm all ready to go. I'm going to start on my forehead. This is a plain hyaluronic acid. A lot of people, when they do microneedling, you'll see them try to push various things in. I've done this before with exosomes. I've pushed exosomes in my skin before. But anything that is an active ingredient like a retinoid or a vitamin C, you do not want to push that into your skin. It is not the holes that the microneedling device is making that is causing the formula or whatever type of product that you're using to seep down deeper. The holes close pretty easily and pretty quickly. And so I don't like to push product in that could potentially create an infection or could make my prolong my healing. Anything that will cause any sort of irritation, anything with fragrance or anything like that, I don't like to push that in my skin, because the main tool, the main device that is actually causing your skin to reverse age is the actual trauma itself. It's those small perforations themselves. And how it works is when you create those small micro traumas, it calls on your own body to come to the rescue to produce collagen and elastin. And when it rebuilds that area, it rebuilds it tighter, firmer, and younger functioning, because we have literally created this trauma that is a good stress. It's a good stressor because it causes our body to react in a certain way. And so I just put on, let me just show you. These are sterile cartridges. Today I'm using a 12 pin. Normally I use an 18 pin, but a 12 pin, 18, 16, in that range is what I prefer. I don't like it when it's like a 32 or a nano or a 42, because then the needles are so tightly packed together that they don't really have the space to perforate the skin entirely. So I like to start with like a 12, a 16, and 18 pen cartridge. You snap this on, you take this cap off, and now you've got sterile needles. So I'm going to start on my forehead let me start at like a 0.50 on my forehead. That is a pretty standard depth. I'm going to coat it. Hold on, let me turn this off. I'm going to coat the area first. I'm going to start one area at a time. So I'm going to start with my forehead. I'm going to coat the area with just a plain hyaluronic acid. This particular hyaluronic acid that I use, everything is in here. They're all clickable links in here, you guys. But I like it because it comes in a pump. So when you're pumping this out into your little silicone cup and your brush, you're not exposing it to the air. You're not having to open up the container. You're just pumping it. So what's inside here is more sterile than if I was opening it up. Does that make sense? I hope so. Okay, I'm just coating this with a good amount of hyaluronic acid to create a slip. And then I always make sure as well, you guys, that I've got alcohol near me in case I'm touching something, or I want to make sure that my hands are super sterile. Just spray it on a little pad and keep this handy so you can continually wipe your hands. Okay, I'm turning it on. I'm going to get in here. I've also got like another thing over here, so in case I need to look at myself a little closer, I've got that here. Okay. I'm going to start with little swirls up towards the hairline. And just tiny, tiny swirls. You'll notice that it'll start to get a little bit pink, but it will not get bloody. That's not the goal. The goal is not to get bloody. The goal is to have it react and to get a little bit pink. And you might see little tiny droplets of blood, but that's not what we're aiming for. And at 0.5 millimeters, that's a half a millimeter deep. Remember, a millimeter is if you were to draw a dot with a pen on a piece of paper, that's a millimeter. So half a millimeter deep. We're not talking about super deep. I do not use any sort of numbing cream because when I do, it's one extra step. You sterilize your skin, you put the numbing cream on, you gotta wash the whole thing off, you gotta sterilize it again. And what you'll realize when you get used to this is that it doesn't hurt as much as you would think. We're women, we're tough. Right? We give birth, we carry a bunch of stuff. We carry the load of the world on our backs at times. This half millimeter little pin going to my forehead is nothing. Trust me. So I'm doing little tiny swirls. And I will go over my eyebrows, but I do that in a stamping technique because I don't want to cut any of the eyebrow. So I kind of do that in a stamp. Get really close to them though. And I like to go over the area, I do 3 passes. It's all in the microneedling protocol, you guys. I like to do 3 passes. Sometimes I'll go up in depth, but normally I'll stay at that same depth and go over it 3 different times. Why? Because you'll see that sometimes the skin will react, and sometimes you can tell exactly where I need to do it again. So I like the 3 pass kind of method because it really makes sure that you've got everything covered. Get right in there. It will help your hair to grow. So there's a lot of stamps that they make now. I know One Skin makes a stamp where you have a solution or a peptide. In that case, it's a peptide that helps your hair grow, and you stamp it into your skin. You can do the same thing with a microneedling pen. You just want to, instead of doing this swirling technique, which I'm doing now, let me put a little bit of alcohol in my hairline just so I make sure that everything is sterile. And then I'll show you how to stamp the hairline in just a second. I want to make sure I get this all covered. I have another little thing here that I'm looking at, just so I get a better, instead of me having to look at my camera, I can really see where I'm lacking. This all looks pretty good. Seems to be, I've got a uniform kind of pinkness going on. Every time that you do a microneedling treatment, you change this cartridge. These are not reusable. They're not reusable, everybody. Hi, everybody, for being here. I know you've got many places you could be today. I'm so glad you're here. seeing me do a whole microneedling demo. Like I said, at the end of this, for those of you just joining me, at the end of this show, and I'm going to do my full face, I will post this to my main feed. After I post this to my main feed, you can comment the word microneedling and you'll get a free microneedling guidebook that tells you about the safety. It tells you about the needle lengths per area that I'm doing. And it tells you about the recovery mode too, like the post-care, all of that stuff. Okay, so I got pretty good on my forehead. Let me turn this off for a second. I'm going to show you just stamping in my hair as well as stamping my eyebrows. So I'm going to keep it at that 0.5. And this is where I sprayed the alcohol. You literally lift it. So you press it and lift. You don't have to press hard, but this will stimulate hair growth as well. So you can do that all along the edging of where your hair meets your skin, and that will increase hair growth in that area. It's quite effective, to be honest with you. And sometimes I'll use the pen to do this, and sometimes I'll use just a stamp. I have a dial-up stamp that I'll also use. And you can do your eyebrows because it will help with eyebrow growth. I really need to get up here real quick. Hold on. And I'm just lifting it up with each one. I'm kind of moving the longer hairs out of the way so they don't get chopped. So you kind of lift up the hair a little bit and then press. And that will stimulate eyebrow growth. Yeah, it's pretty amazing what microneedling does, to be honest with you. I'm going to go on this other little one, lift the hair up a little bit, and then press against the skin. This will make my eyes water a little bit. I'm not crying because it's painful. It's just like, sometimes it just triggers something that makes my eyes and my nose run. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to move down now. I did the forehead. I'm going to save the eyes for the last. I'm going to do right now the chin area and the bottom of the face. And that is going to be a thicker dial on this device because my forehead and most people's foreheads, if you were to take your hand right now and try to pick your forehead skin up, you'll see that skin is very thin. There's not a lot of underlying fat. There's not a lot of underlying anatomy like muscle and things like that. Everything is very thin under your forehead. And so that dictates how deep you go. So on your forehead and things that are very thin, like around your eyes, I stayed at 0.25 to a 0.50 and use a swirling technique. When I go down here at the area that's a little thicker, the jowl area, the chin area is a little bit thicker, the anatomy underneath, I can scale this up to a 1, even a 1.5. I've even done a 2 at home. I'm not going to go that big just because I've got my course that I'm still teaching, so I'm going to be doing that tomorrow, but I am going to do a 1.0. So I'm going to dial this up to a 1.0. I like this M8 a lot better than, I'm going to start at a 0.75 because I am going to do 3 different rounds of this. I like this M8 so much better than the Dr. Penn. I like the M8S. Sorry, this is the M8S. So it's one step above the M8. And I had the M8 for, my gosh, I started microneedling in 2017. Yeah. Actually 2016, but the first YouTube video I did on it was 2017. So I've been microneedling consistently for many, many years. That said, this microneedling protocol has gone through a couple of different changes. So there are new techniques on there now. Anytime, I'm going to start this at a 0.50 actually, because I want to do a swirling technique. But I'll tell you what Dr. Penn has come out with now. What they're saying now is that if you're at a 0.50, and I always keep everything at like a speed of 1, there's no sense when you have needles going through your face, unless you've got a large area like when I do my abdomen or my thighs, where there's not a lot of anatomy, not a lot of bones around there, no curvature. It's like a straight surface, right? Then I'll kick this speed up to like, it'll go as high as 6. I don't know if you can see that on there, but that's a 6. The reason is because you don't have to think about it. You're just doing the needles are just going in and out. So you can increase that speed a lot. But when I'm doing around my face, I like to keep it at a speed of 1 and take a little bit of extra time and do 3 passes instead of the 1. So I'm at a 0.5, I'm gonna do the little swirling techniques to warm up the area. And this does not hurt as much as it does on the forehead, because we just talked about that, because the underlying muscle and fat and all that other anatomy is so much thicker here than it is on the forehead. And so it enables me to not only go deeper, but it's not quite as painful. The most painful part is on the upper lip. It triggers my eyes watering every single time. The upper lip is the most painful, and the forehead, because the upper lip has a lot of nerve endings there, right? And the forehead is just very, very thin. So I'm doing little tiny circles, trying to make sure that I'm covering that whole area pretty consistently, pretty thoroughly. Okay, I'm gonna put a little bit more hyaluronic acid because we want to create that slip so that the device glides seamlessly over the skin and it's not pulling or tugging. Hi, Joe Bebo. I can see you guys now. Yeah, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. I'm going to scroll up so I can see. Ooh, somehow just, okay. Let me know if you guys can still see me, okay? Because for me, the lighting kind of went down a little bit. I'm going to use this mirror really to kind of see where I'm going. And what I've noticed, like when I hit perimenopause, I'm almost 58. But when I hit perimenopause, that's a great question. 2 dogs and a Jeep. I love that handle. That says a lot about you right there. I've been doing this. How often do I do it? Every 4 to 6 weeks. And it's all in. I have a calendar, you guys, which I don't have with me, obviously, here. Dang it. Oh, yeah. No, I don't. But I have a calendar that shows exactly how I fit in all different kinds of modalities of at-home skincare gadgets. When I post this to my main feed, you can just comment the word protocol as well, and it'll get you that calendar. I'm about to update it because I'm not using heat-based products on my skin at home anymore. 0. So I'm not using radio frequency on my skin at home anymore, but I am doing red light therapy, microneedling, microcurrent, chemical peels, effective skincare, and I'm doing IPL at home, which is a new one that is helping to create an even skincare. Bella Fit said, just logging in, could you compare derma rolling to the pen? Very, very, very different. That's a very good question. Derma rolling creates, gosh, I wish I would have brought, let me see if I have a derma roller. I usually do. Yep, I do. Of course I do. Got several. So when you're using a roller, that's a great question. When you're using a roller, you're creating, let me just spray a little alcohol on this. Safety first, everybody, safety first. When you're using a roller and you're rolling that over your skin, so I want you to look at this. This is the Gen Amber roller, which, by the way, if you're using a roller, you have to make sure that those needle spikes, if you can see them, they're individual needles. It is not on a spoke. These are individual stainless steel, surgical steel needles. And that's super important because it creates less trauma on your skin. But still, when you're rolling this over your skin, it's not going straight down, it's rolling. And so when that lifts up, that perforation isn't quite as sharp and defined and neat and with less trauma as when you're doing a pen that's going straight up and down. Okay, so does that make sense? So I still use these and I still use these to travel. So when I travel, I'll throw one of these in. The link for this is on the microneedling protocol as well. You have to do all of the same kind of sterilization, but I love this in terms of doing a quick microneedling session. You go one way, then you go the other way. You lift it up every single time. Then you go diagonal. I just did a little quick microneedling session on my hand. It feels like a cactus, literally, is pressing down on my hand, but it's bearable. So that kind of gives you an idea, right, of how you can do it with a roller. It's just not as effective. So it's not as if it's like doing an in-office treatment or doing something at home. When you're doing it in office, you're going to get a better treatment. This is a professional pin. So you're going to get a better treatment. And this will only dial down to what it says. So this right here is a 0.5. It's a 0.5 millimeter. This will go all the way to almost 3. In fact, I think, let me see real quick. Not that I use it all the way up here, but it will go to a 2.5. 2.5 millimeter. You can't find a 2.5 millimeter roller. That will really destroy your skin. There was another question that came through. Jenny says, my Dr. Pen also came with a nano and 36. Throw those suckers away. I mean, the only way I use those, Jenny, I think about those kind of pens, cartridges, and what Jenny's talking about is the cartridges that come with it. Normally what they'll do is they'll put a bunch of different cartridges in there, and they'll have like a nano and a 42 and all of that. Think about it as laying on a bed of nails. You've seen like Ripley's Believe It or Not. Somebody can lay on a bed of nails and not have it perforate the skin if the nails are so tightly together, right? That you're just laying on it and it becomes like a little bit of acupuncture. When you spread those nails out and you take a few of them away, then all of a sudden it's a very different treatment. And so when you're looking at cartridges that are a 36 pen cartridge or a 42 or a nano, those are really tight together. And what I've realized is that it doesn't really give the device enough time to really perforate and come up, especially if you're doing like on a really high setting, like a 6-speed setting. I like a 12 pin, a 16 pin, and 18 pin cartridge. That's the sweet spot. And you can use those on every part of your face and body. Christine said, why are you not using RF anymore at home? I'm not using RF at home anymore because it started melting fat. And I didn't realize it. And I always stayed away from my fat pads, which if you're using an at-home heat device, I don't care what it is, any sort of laser, radio frequency, you need to be very careful of those fat pads. And I already had melted accidentally in treating dry eyes, the fat pads around my eyes. And when I went to have that fat transfer, really looking objectively at my face, I had realized that when I was using that Lumo, which was a radio frequency device, and it's in my calendar, I've been using it for a long time, that it had really, underneath my cheek and all of this, had really melted the fat. And Skeletor is not a great look for a midlife woman. We need a little bit of fullness in the face. So I had fat put back in here where that Lumo had really chiseled that out. And I'm not really one that follows the trends of how a face should look. And right now there's a lot of trends in removing buccal fat, which is the fat under, inside the cheek, and in really getting this drastic, almost like Skeletor kind of look. And for a midlife woman who's almost 58, that's not a great look, right? When you look back at like when you were in your early 20s, we weren't all chiseled out like Skeletor. We had a little bit of meat on our face, and that is a more youthful face, if that makes sense. Okay, let me just go back. I was surprised about that. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going back in here. I'm going to now crank this up a little bit to let's see. I'm going to crank this up to a 0.75. Let me do a 1.0. I'm going to do a 1.0 on my chin. So I'm not going to be doing this in a swirling technique, because one of the things that Dr. Pen, the company, had advised about is if you're over a 0.5 millimeter, which I'm over a 0.5 millimeter here at one point, I'm at 1 millimeter. You want to keep the speed low and not keep the speed low, but when you're doing a swirling technique, it's best to do that at 0.5 millimeters or less. You don't want the needles going in and out as you're dragging it across your skin, because you're going to get more of a perforation similar to the roller which is not the best. If you had to choose this one. But in a pinch, or if you're traveling, this is great. And I do use this. I use this on my neck sometimes. I'm like, I don't want to like get all this stuff out, blah, 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 blah. So I do use a roller sometimes, but it's not the same treatment as doing, you know, a professional pen like this. By the way, like I said, this is on sale now for $100 off with code LiveYoung. And when I post this to my main feed, so I'm going to do a stamping technique. When I post this to my main feed, whoo, yeah, this is going to hurt. You can comment the word microneedling. It will not only get you the free microneedling guide, but it'll get you the link to the pen that's on sale now. And all the other stuff. Okay, hold on. So I'm lifting this up and placing it back down. Now, because I'm not swirling, this is a time when you can crank that up. It's going to give you a more intense treatment. I won't have to like go over it 3 or 4 different times. Ow, yeah, it hurts. It doesn't tickle, you guys, but it is, to go through the trouble of like putting on the numbing cream and having to take that off and re-sterilize. Like, what I have also realized that when I have on numbing cream, I will go ham on my skin in not a good way. I will get myself a deep treatment because you can't feel it. And so I like to do it instead without the numbing cream, just so I know how deep I'm going and how good of a treatment I'm getting. And I don't just like, you know, go crazy on my skin because I can't feel it. Okay, got that part. Go straight down the middle. You can kind of see, you guys, there's little tiny droplets of blood. Do you see that? Not a ton. Kimberly Backman said numbing cream is toxic too. Yes, that's a good point. Why do you want to put that on your skin and then you have to wash it all off? And a lot of people don't wash it off. They just wipe it off. So then you're pushing toxic material into your skin. Corinne says, I think I have to wait until she posts it to her feed to get the guide. That's right, Corinne. Good job. When I post this to my feed, because it won't work here. I wish it did. That'd make my job so much easier. But when I post this to my feed, which will be 10 minutes after I get off here, because I post it, I write the caption, blah, blah, blah. When I do that, then you comment microneedling and check your DMs. You'll get the free guide and you'll get the Dr. Penn microneedling tool, which by the way is official. Every box that listen, there's a lot of counterfeits right now in the world. And this pen has been around for a very long time. There's so many counterfeits. It's crazy. I was once working with a company that I thought was the real company, and it was a counterfeit company. Like, it's insane what they can do these days. But this one has a scratch off. So it's a scratch off. It's a code, and the thing that you scratch off, so scratch, see this little thing that says scratch? You scratch this off, you take a picture of the code, and if they're all consistent and match, it's an authentic pen. So the ones that are in that link that I'm going to send you when you comment the word microneedling after I post it to my feed in the comment section, then it is this pen that I have vetted, that I know for a fact is 100% authentic. Okay, I'm getting back in here. I'm going to crank this up to a speed of 5 or 6 even, because I'm not using a swirling technique. Woo, I can feel this. Okay. And I'm simply pressing. Now, sometimes do I go against what the manufacturer recommends and do a swirling technique with a lot of hyaluronic acid and a speed of 1? Sometimes I do, but I would not coach that to you guys because they do not recommend that. But sometimes I will do that. If I've got a large area that I'm covering and I want to go deep, and I don't want to sit here and have to press and pick it up every single time, sometimes I will still do a tiny bit of a swirling technique. And the techniques are in here. So depending on the needle length, I'll just show you guys, for example, forehead. So this will give you an idea of what this free guide does. It took me a long time to get this guide together, you guys. But I'm just going to give you an example. So we already did the forehead, right? When you look at the forehead, it will say 0.25 to 0.5 millimeters, swirling plus stamping technique, 3 to 4 passes, a speed of 1. When you get to the eyes, it will say 0.1 to 2.5. You never go above a 2.5 in your eyes, because around your eyes, because you've got meibomian glands that lay about 1/4 of a millimeter underneath the surface of the eyes. You do not want to be microneedling the glands responsible for moisturizing your eyes, okay? So it will tell you every single body part, because if you've got skin there, you can microneedle it and it will reverse age your skin. How is it doing that? Think about like when we were still growing, our muscular skeletal skin was still growing. We were 15, 14, 16, 17, 18, until we were like 22, basically. We were still growing. That's when our body is producing mass amounts of collagen. That's that structural support in animals. Fiber is the structural support in vegetables and plants. Collagen is that structural support in all animals. We are animals. So our collagen and elastin are growing and growing and growing and being mass produced as we as a human is growing in muscular skeletal frame. When that muscular skeletal frame growth stops in our early 20s, that's when our collagen starts diminishing by 1 to 3% per year, depending on our lifestyle and different things like that. What we're doing by microneedling is that we are tricking our skin into behaving like it did when it was younger. So you're creating these microtraumas that then call on the skin to produce collagen and elastin as if it were still growing, because it's this controlled trauma that causes the skin to function like it did in our youth. Does that make sense, everybody? Okay, I'm going to do this one more time because this is my textural problem from menopause. So a lot of women, and I'm going to show you, I'm going to dial this down to a 1.0, and then I'm still going to do a little bit of a swirling technique because I'm on a very low speed. So it might not be as precise of a needle insertion as if I were like under a 0.50, but that's okay. It's like the same thing that this is doing, right? The company just doesn't advise that, but I sometimes will like to do that, especially on this area where I've got some textural changes that happen with menopause. Hormonal change. Remember when we were younger, we used to break out here, right? This was a big breakout spot. Why? Because it's hormonal. So when you're seeing textural changes in your skin during menopause, it's hormonal. That's part of the whole deal. Okay, I'm going to go to to the cheeks now. And this one, I'm going to stay at a 0.50, so I'm going to do a little bit of a swirling technique. And then I'm going to come back over the top of it in a deeper stamp. Okay, so let's stay right here. And, okay. This helps with pore size. It helps with fine lines and wrinkles. It helps with so many things, you guys. It helps with fine lines and wrinkles. But it also, fine line and wrinkles, oh my gosh. Let me take a sip of tea. Okay. Helps with fine lines and wrinkles, but it's amazing for pore size. So any sort of visible pores that you have, microneedle right over the top of them. Put your nose to the side, get right in there. Side of the nose, yes. You can do it in the side of the nose at a 0.50, which is where I am now. You get a little bit of hyaluronic acid there. I'm so happy to be microneedling. I haven't microneedled since 2 weeks before my fat transfer. So it's been a good 6 weeks, maybe 7. And I can tell the difference in my pores and the texture around my chin. Consistency is super important, you guys. You do this one time. Yeah, it's going to make a bit of a difference, but we're not really creating that cascade of collagen production like we did when we were younger. You're just doing it once and then stopping. You're not going to get as great of a result as if you literally were on a schedule for every 4 to 6 weeks, which is what I'm on, right? I have that one big calendar that shows how I fit in all of those modalities, but I am changing that when we get to week 8, which is skincare of the Live Young Method course, which I'm in the middle of coaching. We just got done. We did mindset and motivation, exercise and movement for longevity, diet and nutrition, stress, the good and the bad. This week we tackle sleep optimization. Next week is bones, brains, and heart and other things that can kill you. Then a whole week on hormones, and week 8 is biohacking the skin. When I get to week 8 on biohacking the skin, I'm adjusting that calendar because, like I said, I'm not using heat-based gadgets on my skin at home anymore. I'm saving that for if I decide to do that in office. Because I did, in just looking at my photos, see that fat had been melted over the years with doing radio frequency at home. So I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to get all the way out here. I'm still at a 0.5. See, it gets red, but it doesn't start like profusely bleeding. And what a lot of people see when you see like microneedling things where people have gone in office, what they'll normally do is, they'll do a treatment and then they'll do like a PRP. So they'll take your blood out, spin it in a centrifuge and separate the platelet-rich plasma and then inject that either underneath the skin or lay that over the top and microneedle it. It's a little bit, there is some evidence in that helping for the healing process, but it's not like you're reverse aging your skin with that platelet-rich plasma. You're basically just helping with the healing process is all. There's no exosomes in there. It's not coming from fat. It's coming from your blood. It's more of the healing properties of that blood, but it's not doing the heavy hitting. The heavy hitting is done from the device itself. Okay. Again, I'm doing little teeny tiny swirls. And then I really want to get on this side of the nose, because when I'm looking in a magnifying mirror, I can see all the pores. And I'm telling you, it makes a giant difference in pore size, which as we get older, has anybody else noticed this? Your pore size gets bigger as you age. WJM53 says, I have seen some people where they put serum on like a peptide after microneedling. Why do you not do that? I have before. I take a peptide, so I will take collagen and I will double up on my collagen afterwards. Collagen is a peptide. It's a small chain amino acid. Topical peptides, I mean, you could put a copper peptide on that, but I do injectable peptides. So I have a copper peptide that I inject. I have a BPC 157 that I inject. I have a TB 400 that I inject. So those are great for the skin. But when you're creating this, so look at my skin right now. I personally, after doing this since 2017, so I want to say I started, that was the first video I did. So I've been doing this for 10 years. What I've realized is that when I put anything topically over skin that has been ablated, so the surface of the skin has been traumatized, when you put anything over the top of that, you run the risk of it becoming like more irritated. If you're used to like a copper peptide and you use that every single day and it's not doing anything, it doesn't have any irritation in it, it's not causing you any irritation, you're more likely to not have that irritation, but you have to think like you've broken the skin now. So for me to heal the quickest, and I'll show you in the post-care, I simply walk around and continue to coat this, but I got a little bit smarter over the years because this hyaluronic acid will get dry and crusty. So you can walk around with like a spritzer of water, but normally what I do now is I'll use that for a little bit while I'm doing the rest of my face. I'll continue to have that hyaluronic acid. I put a small layer of Aquaphor and seal the whole thing in with one of these masks so that you're really sealing that in. And I have found that it's a way better to speed heal that way. So a couple things that I do with post-care. I make sure that I'm doubling up on my collagen. You can comment the word collagen. When I post this to my main feed, not now, but when I post it to my main feed, you can comment the word collagen. You can comment microneedling. You can comment collagen. Collagen will get you this hydrolyzed collagen. So it's more easily absorbable. It's liquid form. You keep it in the refrigerator. And then, so what I'm doing is I'm doubling up on this. I'm doubling up on my red light therapy. So I'll be wearing this mask for the next week, like double the time that I normally do. And then I also am taking my hair, skin, and nails, which is a collagen generator. So let's think about what I just did. I created perforations in the skin that are creating that microtrauma to call on my body to come to the rescue to produce collagen and elastin. Then I am making sure I have all those precursors so that collagen and elastin can be formed. So this is those peptides that are telling my skin, hey, produce collagen and elastin. So I'm telling my skin to produce collagen and elastin. I'm telling my skin to produce collagen and elastin. And then I'm nourishing it with hair, skin, and nails. This is a collagen generator. So it's also on here for post-care. And what this does is it nourishes those cells that produce the collagen and elastin in the first place. So for me, that seems like a very good post-care protocol, right? You're creating collagen and elastin, you're creating collagen and elastin, you're creating collagen and elastin, and then you're just making sure you're going to speed heal it. So you put that hyaluronic acid, which acts as a humectant, and then you put the Aquaphor on top of it, put a mask on it. Within an hour, you will not believe what happens when you take this off. Like it just looks great. Looks a little bit pink and it takes a few days, but it's speed healing in a way that I wasn't before. And when I'm doing any sort of peptides to help that speed healing, I'm not putting them directly on the traumatized skin, if that makes sense. Okay. I'm going to keep going. Let me get this whole side over here. Okay. I'm probably going to have to finish this off camera, but no, you know what? Who cares? I'll just keep it on. Even if we go over the hour, it's fine. I want to get a good treatment. So I'm just creating that slip with the hyaluronic acid to make sure the device is sliding over the skin, and I'm keeping the depth at a 0.5 when I'm doing this. When I go above a 0.5 on various body parts, you pick it up and stamp so that you're not sliding it while the needles are going deep into your skin, because it will tear your skin like that. Not tear your skin, but will create those perforations much more like a roller. Okay, I'm gonna go over the lip. This part hurts, I'm not gonna lie. Over the lip is a little bit painful. I'm not gonna go over my lip line because I do have a little bit of lipstick on, so I don't want to do that. Get the side of this nose. Get this other side now. If you guys have any questions, I can see the questions that come up now. I think I'm pretty much. WJM53 says I have a silicone mask. Maybe I do that tonight. Yeah, they're great. They're great for a lot of different things, and they're super cheap. But yeah, super great for a lot of different things. You can put it, even like a sleep mask on, or like a bunch of hydration, or your retinoid followed by hydration, and then put this over the top. It just causes your creams to sink in a little bit deeper and to be more effective because you're not having them evaporate. So the water, anything that's liquid or moist that you're putting on your skin, you lose some of that to evaporation, right? To drying out. Okay, I'm gonna get all the way up the side of that nose. Now, when I do the tip of my nose, I'm gonna show you guys how I do that. It's very different because you do not wanna put a device, I'm gonna give you an example. You do not wanna put this device on the tip of your nose, because then no longer are you at a 0.5. Because your anatomy has gone into the device, you're way deeper than what it's dialed to on the device. So when you're doing things like the tip of your nose, you have to be very careful, especially for somebody that has a pointy nose like I do. Do not stick a body part into the cavity of the cartridge. Makes sense? Mindfulness Beauty says, Hiya, is the cream you put on underneath the mask? Yeah, you put all the cream on first, whatever cream that you're putting on, and then you put the mask over the top of it. Before I get off of here, I'll put the mask on so you can kind of see what that looks like. It looks a little freaky, but that's okay. Okay. Get all of this out here. And then as this is drying, you can see my chin, which I did first, is starting to dry out a little bit. Just continue to put hyaluronic acid over the top of it. Okay, I'm going to crank this up a little bit because I'm still on a 0.5, but I want to cover this surface. And then I'm going to go back in and stamp. So little tiny circles. I'm going to show you how I stamp over my nose because there's still pores on the bridge of the nose. You can't just get everything by putting it to the side. You got to get the bridge too. And I have noticed that this absolutely helps with pore size. I can tell, like, when I do a treatment, then fast forward to like 4 weeks later, I'm like, oh yeah, I need a treatment. How can I tell? Because of my pore size. Joe B. Bob 915 says, where do you get the silicone mask like that? Your product or link? I'm not sure, Joe B. Bob, if it's in the microneedling protocol post care. I don't think it is. I need to update that post care, I think. Let me just check real quick to make sure. Yeah, it's not in here. In the post care on this, you'll see a link for the hyaluronic acid. You'll see a link for the Aquaphor or unscented moisturizer, red light therapy. You'll see the collagen supplement. You'll see the Live Young Hair, Skin, and Nails. You will not see the silicone mask. And so when I update that, you know, I can't update them all the time, but when I update them, I'll add the silicone mask. This is I want to say a Dyson, or it starts with a D. I forgot the name of it. But you can get this on my Amazon storefront. Yeah, on my Amazon. And they're super cheap. It's just a silicone mask. And you wash it off and it's reusable. So super cost effective. Yeah. Okay, so let me show you a little bit of how I'm going to do the nose. I think I'm talking too much and doing too little of my treatment here. Okay, so when I do the bridge of the nose, I'm just going to be very careful that I lift up. So I touch down, I lift up, touch down, lift up. And I do not do the tip, but you can do underneath this way. And you can do on the sides of it. But if you've got a pointy tip, do not stick it into the device. But yeah, I noticed like pores on the sides right here by the eyebrows, the inner corners of the eyes. As long as you stay on this occipital bone, you guys, you can get very close to the corner of the eye because that's still hard bone. Right? That's still hard bone. If you take your hand and you feel around where that bone is, the bone is all the way here. So when you do your eye, which I'm probably not going to do my upper eye today because I did have, you know what, I could do a little bit where that scar is, where I had that little mini upper bleph, you can kind of still see. I'm going to go right over that scar. Miss Mandy Ryle, I think that's it. I had Botox about 5 days ago. Is it okay to microneedle? I always say wait for at least a week after you had any sort of injections. But it's different with microneedling. I mean, it's different with Botox than it is with filler because filler has a tendency to migrate. Botox can migrate a little bit, but I would wait for about a week post Botox. Joe B. Bob said, I had a deviated septum and tip revision, so definitely want to avoid that. Yeah, you do. You do. And it's just like nobody wants a big scab on the end of their nose. It's not pretty. It's not pretty. So, you know, just be aware when you've got curvature in your anatomy, like the tip of your nose, that you want to be careful to not stick that whole thing into the device because it's going to be at a deeper depth than what you have the device scale to or dialed to. Okay, I still see some pores on the top, so I'm going to do this again. But notice I'm not going this way, right? I'm staying to where it's flat. For those of you who are on here that are in the Live Young Method course, we're going to be doing skincare, let's see, in 3 weeks, we'll be doing skincare where we spend a whole week on skin. So if you don't have a microneedling device or you don't have a mask, we're going to talk a lot about the Live Young mask, which now has been permanently reduced to $197.50. Why? Because it's my mask and I can do whatever I want. And I just think the economy sucks right now. And if I still make a little bit of money when I put it at half price, I'm just going to leave it at half price. So it's at $197.50 and it's multi-spectrum. So it's 8 different light spectrums that we're dealing with here. When you guys, I have a new news as well on recovery, because I used to think, thank you, Matt. Matt says, I love your Matt. When I used to think that red light in post microneedling, red light, red light, red light. Yes, and blue light and violet light. Why? Because those are the more surface areas. So when you're looking at a 0.5 millimeter deep and you're doing red light, you're going to bypass that whole depth that you just did. And yeah, it will increase circulation. Yes, it will speed healing. But why not, instead of just bypassing it and having a wash on that area to speed healing, do it directly? And blue light is antibacterial. Violet light, antibacterial. And so when you're doing things that are very surfacey, speed healing does not only include red light. And in fact, red light can actually help make you bleed a little bit more. And so what I've been doing differently with my post care, besides using the silicone mask, is that immediately following, I'm doing blue light. So I've got a dome. I have the Swyrise dome, and I've got the Joves. I don't know if you can see. I've got the Joves. Let me see if I can show you over here. Yeah. See that mat that's laying down right there? Yeah, that's the Joves mat where nothing will be touching my face while I'm healing. And this is a multi-spectrum mat. You can comment Joves, and I don't know, that'll get to you somehow in your DMs, I think. Yeah, it should still, that auto population thing should still work. But yeah, what I'm doing a little bit differently is I'm incorporating blue light and violet light, which is a little bit more surfacey. So it's speed healing those more surface traumas faster than red light. And it's ensuring that I'm not getting any sort of bacterial infection. So immediately following, and you guys, you can do this with your Live Young mask. If you have the Live Young mask, you can do it with the Live Young mask. But what I advise is that immediately following, don't lay this directly on skin. Wait for at least a couple of hours. It does not take long for your skin, for those little perforations to heal up and for it to create that skin barrier again where things cannot penetrate through your skin. It's quicker than what you think. Think about it as like putting a toothpick in Jell-O. When you take that toothpick out, that Jell-O pretty much is sealed, right? You can't like put water on top of that Jell-O and have it sink down through those pores. It's the same thing with microneedling. Our skin is very resilient, so it will close that up. But wait for a couple of hours. Walk around with this thing on first. Wait for a couple of hours and then hit it with blue light, hit it with violet light, and then over the next couple days while you're healing, you double up on all of that, but then you double down on the near infrared and red. Corinne says, do you use near infrared light along with red, blue, and violet? Absolutely. Those would be the 4. That was a great question. Those are the 4 that I would recommend for post microneedling healing. Whew, tongue-tied. Those are the 4 light spectrums that I would recommend for post microneedling healing. So red, near infrared, but first, before you do those, start with blue and violet, because we want to make sure we don't have any sort of infection or any sort of bacteria that's going to be growing on the skin. And both blue and violet light are antibacterial. Yeah. So I always hit it first with those, and then over the next couple of days, I will double down and triple down on all the red light therapy. Brandon says, have you heard the benefits of salmon sperm? Been thinking of getting some post microneedling? Absolutely. And it's great. But the problem is there's a lot of crap on the market. And I almost brought with me a PDRM, which I have, which is salmon sperm, and thought about like microneedling that into my skin. And I thought, nope, I'm not going to do that. It's not medical grade. So you don't want to just take any cream that you have that says PDRM on it, salmon sperm on it, and then think that you can microneedle that in your skin and it's going to be sterile. So I don't know if that would be something that I would want to do at home unless I had a source of salmon sperm that I knew was highly pure. And I know a lot of you are going like, salmon sperm? She lost me at salmon sperm. I thought we were microneedling. Be prepared because you're going to see a lot of this stuff. That was a great question. You're going to see a lot of this stuff, especially when I do Live Young South Korea, which is happening this October. And next weekend, next Saturday, I'm talking all Korean skincare. My friend Jenny, who just got back from South Korea, who's going to be helping me plan the Live Young South Korea trip in October. We're going to be talking about South Korea. We're going to be talking about the things that they do differently over there. That's Saturday. That's this coming Saturday. So in 6 days at 12 o'clock on Instagram Live, we're going to talk all about that. And you're going to be seeing that a lot of things that are coming out of South Korea, like Riedels, are really amazing products. They're way ahead of us, you guys. They're way ahead of us. And the salmon sperm. And the reason why they're using salmon sperm, just so you guys can understand, why is somebody putting salmon sperm on their face? Do you remember like in biology in high school when we had that CG, those nucleotides, CGAT, you had to memorize, oh, T goes with A and C goes with G's. And those are nucleotides, right, for your DNA. What they have found with salmon sperm is that it's such an easy molecule. It's big molecules of A, C, G, all of those things that we still have. And what it does is it fills in the gaps for it fills in those genetic gaps. And so when you're applying it on the skin, it helps with that DNA degradation that happens as we age. And they're doing some amazing things. The problem with living in America and trying to get salmon sperm is that there's a lot of crap on the market. You guys know that. There's a lot of stuff on the market that is not great. And so you have to have a good source. But I'm going to talk all about that on Saturday with Jenny when we talk about South Korean skincare, and we talk about Live Young South Korea this October. Okay, I'm going to keep going here. You notice, if you can see, you notice exactly where I haven't done, right? I have not done my eyes. I've done the upper lip. I have not done on the lip line, which I don't think I'm going to do today. I could actually, but I'm going to need a little bit more here, and then I'm going to do the eyes, and that will be the end of our show. So I'm going to do a little bit on this temple, and then I'm going to very carefully, because I'm still just had that fat transfer to the eyes following the fat melting, trying to treat my dry eyes. Don't you just hate that when you think you're doing something great for your skin and it backfires? The same could be true if you're trying to microneedle salmon sperm into your skin and you don't have a really good source and it's not medical grade. Brandon, if I know of a source, and join me next Saturday because we're talking all about that stuff. And I just ordered from Medicube, which is one of the top 3 sources for, and yeah, it's the same one. It's the same company that does the microcurrent devices, but it's a company that actually is in the top 3 for sourcing salmon sperm. I'm going to talk about that on Saturday. So I hope you're on that show, Brandon. Matt says, I just did a friend for scars. I stamped on scars. Yes, this works great for scars, you guys. My daughter has some scars on her arms, and when she was here for Christmas, I worked on the scars for her arms. Even surgical scars, which I'm going to go over. See this little thing? You can't tell because unless I'm blinking really slow. He did a great job, but it's it's 4 weeks old. And so now is a good time for me just to do a tiny bit of a microneedling on it if I can get it up on that occipital bone. do not microneedle over your eyeball. Okay. Marionette lines, Anna, it works great for marionette lines. I notice like I've got these two little lines. You can see them when I smile. See that little line? I notice that when I microneedle, those lines are so much less apparent. And then when it comes time 4 to 6 weeks, I'm like, oh, the marionette lines are coming. Oh, the pore lines are coming. Let's do it again. That's why consistency is so important. Okay, I think I got this out here, and now I want to tackle the eyes. Okay. I'm going to dial this way down, you guys. Your eye skin is very, very, very fragile. So I don't go over a 0.25. That's a 1/4 of a millimeter. And you don't want to go over a 1/4 of a millimeter. Are you at home? Yeah, Micah, I'm at home. We do not want to go over a 1/4 of a millimeter on a microneedling pen under your eyes. Why? Because you have those meibomian glands that live right underneath the eyes. I learned this from dealing with my dry eyes, you guys. Menopausal dry eyes, it's no joke. But what we have in our eyes is our upper eyelid secretes water. Our lower eyelid secretes oil. And it's in doing that the water, that our eyeball doesn't become dehydrated all the time. The oil keeps the water there. When you don't have the oil glands working properly, you'll continually produce the water on the top and it will evaporate. It's called evaporative eye disorder, otherwise known as meibomian gland dysfunction. That's when these glands are not working and your eye is just watering and watering and watering. It sucks. But in treating that is when I accidentally, because I was so miserable, in retrospect, I should have known. I knew exactly what happened after it happened. Nobody had to say, hey, what happened to your eyes? Like, I knew exactly what happened. And I was like, kicking myself. That said, do not go over a 1/4 of a millimeter underneath your eyes, okay? So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to stay on the bone. I'm going to move this a little bit closer to me so I can see. I just put on a little bit of hyaluronic acid, and I'm going to stay next to that bone. I have a mirror right here, you guys, so I can get up close and personal. Let's see. Okay. As long as I'm staying on that bone, you need to feel around. Now remember, I just had a fat transfer to the eyes as well, so I don't want to press down anything. I don't want to do anything. Matt says, I just did lipo and fat transfer and it's been 2 weeks and still swollen on the eyes and top. Don't do it, Matt. Wait for at least 4. This is 4 weeks out. And even now, I'm like, I'm going to do this very, very light. I'm going to do 1 pass. I'm not going to press down. And I'm going to do very, very, very light. And as long as I'm staying on that bone, this is all bone. Your bone is all the way out to the corner of your eyes, you guys. If you take your finger, press out here, you see where it's hard? That's where a microneedling tool can go. It can go that close to your eyes. That's why it helps with, you don't have to stay out here. You just have to stay on top of that occipital bone. And that does mean that you can pull that skin up or down a little bit. Anna says, do you use, I think you're trying to say estrogen therapy after menopause. Some docs recommend it, others don't. It's so confusing. Oh, Anna, it's not confusing anymore. They have taken the black box warning off of all of estrogen products. Absolutely, it is a game changer for longevity. I started using it at the age of 50. I'm now almost 58. And I had about 2 months there where I was absolutely miserable before getting on estrogen therapy. So I'm on estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, DHEA. Get your thyroid hormones checked as well. Full thyroid panel, absolutely necessary in perimenopause. And if you're over the age of 40, you're probably in perimenopause. Chameleon DM says, I'm also in doubt about the estrogen. You guys, that study that was all based on in the 90s was retracted. And the interesting part is, and I won't go into this long because this is important, and then I'll do my eyes. This show is not just about how you look, you guys. It is about living longer. That's what I went to school for. I didn't go to school for microneedling. I went to school for gerontology. I'm a gerontologist and a certified holistic nutritionist. and a 500-hour yoga instructor. So I went to school for various things, not necessarily skincare, but I biohack the skin just like I biohack cardiovascular health and bone density. Biohacking hormones is a very, very important step for all women, because when they did that study, the Women's Health Initiative, they did it with people that were already postmenopausal. They did it with synthetic hormones and people that were already at a high risk. And in doing that, when the studies first started getting the results, they did a whole news conference and said, estrogen causes cancer. And they pulled, all the doctors got afraid to prescribe it. People got afraid to take it. They started putting the black box warning on all estrogen products. That study was retracted and debunked. And I don't mean in the small sense of the word, I mean in the big sense of the word. It was debunked. It was literally, the results were skewed. It was not true. And yet, guess what happened when they debunked it? There was no news announcement like there was when the study came out. When the study first came out, before the results were even in, it was big on every news channel, estrogen causes cancer. When they found out, oh, we're wrong about that, nobody went on the news to say that. Now we've got these advocates today, like Dr. Marie Claire and like all these other advocates who are, that's their field. That's what they do. They're trying to spread the word that estrogen is safe. And in fact, it actually promotes longevity, which it does. Why? Because when your estrogen starts tanking, you're more prone to Alzheimer's and dementia, cardiovascular disease and heart attacks, and osteopenia and osteoporosis, which will leave you more prone to fractures. So it is a very, very good thing to talk to your doctor and replace those same hormones. We're not talking about synthetic hormones. That's old school. Replacing those same hormones that have been racing through your blood since your entire life. You're adding stuff back that starts diminishing with age. That causes you to live longer and healthier. So there's a lot of age-related diseases that are tied with estrogen decline because estrogen receptors are on every single organ in our whole body. Okay, that was my tangent on hormone replacement therapy. As you can tell, huge fan here, huge fan about spreading the word and debunking misinformation. Women, a whole generation of women lost the chance to start, not lost the chance, but they lost those years of being on hormone replacement therapy because of a study that was retracted that was not announced. And that is a huge disservice for women all over the world. Chameleon said, also the skin needs estrogen to produce collagen. Absolutely. So when we go through estrogen decline and you start seeing it in your skin, it's due to that, right? Estrogen keeps our skin plump. That said, do not apply estrogen cream to your face. Don't do it. If you're applying estrogen cream to your face, you're upping your chance of melasma. If you've ever suffered from melasma before with, being on birth control or when you hit perimenopause, or if you were pregnant, if you ever got an estrogen mask, like a melasma type of mask, or discoloration, hyperpigmentation, if you're putting estrogen cream directly on your face and you are prone to melasma, you have a very good chance of triggering that melasma again. Very good chance. There's way better products to put on your skin than estrogen. Just because you have a receptor there doesn't mean you need to stick estrogen cream on it. Don't. Estrogen cream on your vagina? Yes. On all the vulva, all the parts down there? Absolutely. Estrogen cream or estrogen systemically through hormone replacement therapy? Absolutely. But don't put it on your face. Okay. Joe Bebob says, my friends won't listen to me sadly about HRT. I'm 61. My friend who's 60 has poor bones already and they won't put her on it. Oh God. It's criminal. And I think the people that went to school, doctors who went to school during that whole phase of estrogen causes cancer, don't put women on estrogen, are still, they haven't gone back to school. So we trust our doctors, but sometimes our doctors are not the most up to date and educated. Ask your doctor how much training did they have in menopause? right? You have to be your own best advocate. Okay, I'm going to do the eyes now, and then I'm going to get off here. Remember, you guys, when I'm going to try to pull this up, and you'll see how careful I am around this eye. But you can, as long as you're on that occipital bone, it's going to look weird, but I'm going to do it for y'all. You can pull this skin up and stay right on that bone so that when you release it, you're actually treating that skin in the crease. Stay very, very, very low and stay on that bone. So this is at a 0.25, that's a 1/4 millimeter deep. I could even go between a 0 and a 0.25. So that would get me, you know, like a 1.7, a 0.17, 0.17, not 1.7, 0.17, 0.25, 0.17, that's all good. Pull the skin up. I'm going to look in this magnifying mirror over here, you guys, so I don't go blind. And I'm going to see what I can do. I'm going to do a stamping technique. I'm going to start up high first, right underneath the eyebrow. I already stamped the eyebrow. Okay, let's see how much of this. No, I can't get that little scar up there, so I'm not going to do that. But I am getting this pulled up and staying right on that occipital bone and doing a light stamping technique. But it's not going to get me that inner corner. It got me a little bit on that top of that. Let me try that one more time. Do not go over your eyeball. That's soft tissue. You got to stay on the bone. It will make your eye water. That made my eye water. Okay, I'm gonna move to this other side and we'll be done. I have a lot of times I've done my neck at the same time. I do suggest, since it's another big body part, to change the cartridge in between. Do not reuse these. You guys, when you're done with it, you simply twist it off and you throw it away. These are not expensive. You can get a whole, I think you can get 10 of them for they're less than like $1 each. Don't reuse them. It snaps back on. Okay, I'm going to go to this other side. So remember, when I post this to my main feed, which I'm going to do right afterwards, you comment the word microneedling to get the free microneedling guide and the Dr. Penn M8S, which is $100 off with code LiveYoung. You'll get the whole free guide that includes safety first, all the needle links and the post care, and all the little paraphernalia stuff, even the rollers in there, you guys. The only thing that's not in there is the mask, which I will end up doing. So Matt, when I post this to my main feed, don't do it here, because right afterwards, I just screw the algorithm. I get screwed every time on this, but I post these long live shows. Imagine you're getting like this 1 minute thing, this 1 minute reels of something, and 1 minute reels, and then here comes Darnell, 1 hour microneedling her skin. I get a lot of unfollows, but I do it anyways. I don't care. So when I post this to my main feed, comment the word microneedling in the comment section. And please, you guys, please give it a heart first. Otherwise, I've got like 30 likes and 500 comments about microneedling. Give it a heart, okay? If you don't subscribe, please subscribe to the channel. Give it a heart, and then in the comment section, put microneedling. If you want the link for the collagen, you can put collagen. If you want the link for my supplements, which is the hair, skin, and nails, you can just put supplements, or you can put stack, and it'll get you my whole supplement stack that I take. So that's probably better. Just put stack, and then look for the hair, skin, and nails. But give it a like, okay? Make sure you're following. Give it a like. Then do the comments of either microneedling or collagen or stack. And then send it to somebody that you know is interested in microneedling at home. Okay, that would help me out a lot. Okay, I'm going to go to this other eye now. I'm going to start at the bottom with a little bit of a swirling technique around the bottom. I'm still on that occipital bone. I'm not pressing. I don't want to mess up my fat transfer at all, but I'm staying on that bone. I've got a nice slip going on, and I can glide this because I'm under a 0.5 millimeter, right? I'm just below a 0.25 millimeter. This is all bone out here. So I can do this without having any sort of problem at all. It's when I try to do inside here. Do not go over your eyeball. Use your hand, same side hand, grab where your eyebrows are and lift up at the eyebrow. And then you'll see how that moves the skin up onto that occipital bone. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of moisture, even though I don't need it because I'm going to probably do a stamping technique. I still want to add that in there. Okay, let's see. I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to stamp right under the eyebrow. Already stamped my eyebrows. Stay on that bone. Very, very, very lightly. And then let's see how much of that little scar I can get. I can only get the little tip while being safe, and that's what I'm going to do. Okay, pull that all up. Woo! Okay, that's all I'm going to do today. That's it. Okay, that's it. This goes off, comes out, goes in the garbage. Now I'm going to show you guys, I'm just going to put the Aquaphor on. So I'm coating this all with hyaluronic. My whole treatment is done. Mindfulness Beauty, thank you so much. Okay, hold on, let's see. How's the weather? It's like 85 degrees here today. Matt, I did the course and have certificate, but always learn something from you all the time. Oh, I love that, Matt. Thank you so much. Okay. So I'm just coating it with the hyaluronic acid. You could tell I got a good treatment, right? No, nothing's oozing or bleeding or anything like that, but I'm quite pink, which is exactly what I want. That collagen has been triggered. Again, I'm going to double up on my collagen. I'm going to hit it with the blue light and violet light. That's what I'm going to start with. And then later on today, I'm going to switch to the red and the near infrared. Okay, so that's that. I'm going to take my big thing of Aquaphor and take this same brush that I've been using for the hyaluronic acid. In fact, I'll just spray. I always have these little alcohol bottles, you guys. So convenient. And then I'm going to take a little bit of this. This is going to look, you guys, I'm going to look like a freak with this on, okay? Just be prepared. It looks like something out of like a scary movie or something, but I only wear it for a couple of hours. So look, I'm just putting on a nice coating of Aquaphor. Aquaphor will not make you sensitive to anything. This is literally for eczema. So it can be for the most fragile skin, and it helps that skin barrier to reestablish itself. Joe Buo says, my daughter has acne scars, so we'll try to get her to order this and show her how to use it. She's 26 and is a bit self-conscious about it. Oh my God, this so helps with acne scars. Not only acne scars, this is Aquaphor, so Mindfulness Aquaphor. You can get this at CVS, Rite Aid, any of those things. Not only does this help Joe Buo with acne scars, with old scars, but even active acne. I know you're not going to hear that anywhere else. But if you've got a breakout, stick on a new cartridge and just press right over, not hard, but do that stamping technique right over a breakout. What you don't want to do is do an active, treat active acne, and then you're treating the rest of your skin because you're spreading that bacteria everywhere. So whenever I do microneedling, if I've got a breakout of any kind, or I'm coaching a client that has a breakout of any kind, you avoid that breakout until the very last, and then you stamp, stamp, stamp your breakouts. Why? Because it will cause them to heal so much quicker. You're stimulating your body to come and heal that acne by creating the microtrauma. So not only is it good for acne scars, but for existing acne, as long as you're not spreading that bacteria around the rest of your face. Does that make sense? It's like magic. Literally, the next day that acne will be gone. It's literally that quick. Okay, let's see if there was anything else. Joe Buo says, yeah, she breaks out still young and has great hormones. Yeah. Well, the part that's like, has anybody in midlife started breaking out when you're on hormone replacement therapy? Because I've seen it happen. You can microneedle that acne for sure, but don't get off the hormone replacement therapy because of acne. Okay, so that you can see I'm like covered in Aquaphor. But for this not to like melt off my face and get into everything, you just stick one of these little masks over the top of it. So again, I just washed this, but I'm gonna spray it with a little bit of alcohol. Let it kind of air dry a little bit. And then stick it over the top. And this will keep everything from evaporating and it will push that aquaphor into the skin a little bit. I know it's not pretty, you guys. It's really not pretty. I look like, I don't know, an alien or something. But it is very effective. Okay, so that's it for today. Remember those keywords. Remember to give it a heart. Remember to follow. Remember to share it. And then comment microneedling, comment collagen, comment stack, and you'll get all of those links. I don't know how long this microneedling tool will be on sale, but it's $100 off. So normally $299, it's $199. And I think it's even free shipping because it's over 150 bucks. Yeah, okay, so that's all I have. Next Saturday at 12 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, I am going to be talking about Korean skincare. And it's the first time that I'm going to be talking about Live Young South Korea. So if you've ever thought about like, wow, I'd like a little nip tuck, I'd like a little something, but the cost of that is like a down payment of a house. There's no way I'm doing that. Think about like going to South Korea with a group of 20 women and spying and doing all of that fun stuff and healing together. It's what I'm going to be talking about next Saturday, and it's very, very, very limited. Linda, when I say post comment collagen, wait till I post this to my main feed, which I'm going to do right now. See it on my main feed, and then you can comment collagen or comment microneedling or comment stack. Okay. I love you too. Thank you so much. Lori, I do not use numbing cream. I do not, first of all, Kimberly Backman earlier said numbing cream is toxic. But to me as well, it's another step of having to disinfect your skin. And when I use numbing cream, I go way too deep. This does not hurt as bad as you think. It really doesn't. We're women, we're strong. Test it out here first. Just go 0.25. Oh, let me see what this feels like. Trust me, in about 2 minutes, you're going to be like, it doesn't hurt like you think it does. Corinne says, I'm so excited about Korean skincare. Yes, that's Saturday. The trip sounds amazing. It is going to be next level. Next level. Because we're going to have salmon sperm facials. We're going to go to all the places where we spa. There's going to be people that have facelifts. I already know of somebody that's coming that's like, going to do a facelift. We're already vetting out all the doctors. Like, if you're somebody that like, you wanting some stuff done, South Korea is way ahead of us and it's a fifth of the price. And so your trip basically pays for itself. And it's a way to do it in a non-scary way where you're surrounded by people who've done it before or who are going through the same thing. And so I'm very, very excited about it. I'm more excited about this project. Well, not than any other project. I don't mean it like that. But when this presented itself, I thought, man, that is a way to help people who otherwise would never do something that they've been wanting for so long. And life is too short. Figure out a way to do it, right? And I'm not saying get the facelift, but man, if you've been thinking about a facelift for 10 years, freaking get the facelift. You're wasting time just thinking about it, right? I'm going to talk about that on Saturday. So I'll see you guys Saturday at 12. I'll post this to my feed right now. Thank you guys so much for being here. Yeah, WJM53 says, I'd love to give CO2 laser in South Korea. Yeah, a friend of mine did Pico laser. They do CO2 lasers. They will analyze your skin first and set everything up. And then when we get there, we already have the doctor set up and your appointment times and all of that stuff. It's going to be something really special for a very small amount of people because I don't think I can do more than 20 people at a time. But I will see you guys. I'll see you guys on Saturday at 12 where we will talk Korean skincare and we will talk Live Young South Korea in October. Okay, bye everybody. I'll post it right now.